Welcome back everyone to the video, and today we are ranking every single team heading into the 2025 NFL season. Now I'm super excited to do this. You guys always seem to enjoy the tier list videos, and they are some of my favorite videos to do. I really meant to have more out this offseason. I mean, not just tier list, just any video really, and it just has not gone that way, unfortunately. So I got to get these out now. We're doing this. We're ranking players like receivers, quarterbacks, running backs still. And then also we'll be mixing up the team series I had going on so we can get all those done as well. So none of it's really going to be like left out. It's just going to be restructured so that I can still get out on time. But for today, we're ranking every single team. We have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. If you have not seen one of these videos before, the top is the best rank, the bottom is the worst, and we're going to talk about why I think some of these teams do belong in at the ranks I have them in. Make sure to comment down below anything you guys disagree with, any teams you guys think felt like I ranked too low or too high, or that I was right on. And yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I would appreciate it. And now into the video. First up, we have the Broncos. This was last year. A lot of you guys, if you watched my videos last year, will remember I was not very high in the Broncos because Bo Nix really scared me. And I think I would have had the Broncos around C or D tier. This year, however, I actually have them A tier. I think they are going to be very good. Bo Nix really surprised me in his rookie season. He was a lot more careful with the football than I thought he would be. I think he still threw like 11 or 13 interceptions, which isn't, low, but I seriously did not expect the season he had from him. I think he had a lot more maturity than I thought he'd have. He was very good with his legs as well. Now he's a great defense. The Broncos offense is really interesting because they have a really crazy running back room. Like last year, they had like 4 guys that could all see snaps. Now Javonte Williams is gone. He's in Dallas, and so you drafted R.J. Harvey, and you still have Audric Estime in there too. So it's an interesting room, and it's an interesting offense overall. So we got Bo Nix, Courtland Sutton, who you just re-signed, should be a big one. Evan Ingram, who you signed in the offseason. I think he'll have a pretty good year there in Denver. I think he'll bounce back from those last couple seasons in Jacksonville. But yeah, Broncos are A tier for me. Not quite A tier for me is going to be the Giants. And the Giants are a really tough one. I've kind of bounced back and forth between C and D tier. And ultimately, they're going to find themselves in D tier. Now, here's the thing with the Giants. So, Malik Nabers is one of, if not the best young wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, it's only his second year, and he looks like he could be a true superstar. Defensively, this defensive line is absolutely insane, though. You have Brian Burns, you have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's been all right, but you still have Dexter Lawrence as well. I mean, this is a really good defensive line, and then you add Abdul Carter to it. So this could be a top 1 defensive line in the NFL. Not even kidding, though. Seriously, I'm not sure how many other defensive lines you could pick over the Giants, assuming they reach their potential. I think Abdul Carter is a superstar. I think he was absolutely the right pick there. And I was really afraid the Giants were going to reach on a quarterback, so I'm glad they didn't. They went with the best option for them with Abdul Carter. The Giants secondary still scares me a little bit. I'm not going to say they don't have anyone back there, but certain guys like Deonte Banks, I go back and forth on how much I believe in them or in him. So that kind of worries me. And then offensively, I don't think you have quarterback figured out. For what it's worth, Jackson Dart did look very good in his preseason debut. And yes, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. I get it. But would you rather someone look good in preseason or bad in preseason? It does still matter to a certain degree. And Jackson Dart looked a lot more comfortable than I thought he would. So props to him there. You still have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in this quarterback room, which to be honest, I don't know how I feel about it still. On the one hand, I'm like, okay, you have 2 veteran quarterbacks for Jackson Dart to sit behind. So at the very least, he has time to kind of sit and learn and develop, and that can be all the difference for a young quarterback. Then the other side of it's like, but the Giants need to win games. Like Brian Daboll, he's not sitting around trying to have another losing season. He needs to show progress to keep his job. And it's not. I'm not gonna say it's on the hot seat, but Daniel Jones. Okay, we get it. We've kind of written all that off. You had Daniel Jones. That's tough. But if the same thing keeps happening, you can't just keep making excuses for it, and people are gonna be turning their heads and looking at the head coach. So they want to win first. This is a win now mode for the Giants. They've done the retooling. They've done the tanking. They need to win games. And in my mind, I don't know if Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson does that for you. So in my opinion, if this gets to be mid-season, the Giants are like a little below 500, but Russ is really struggling, or even Jameis is really struggling, I would throw Dart in there. I don't know why you wouldn't. So I think, honestly, at some point this season for the Giants, I feel like we will see all three quarterbacks in a real NFL game at some point. Jameis, Dart, and Russell Wilson. So it'll be weird, but at the end of the day, I do like the offense. You still have Tyron Tracy, who had a pretty good rookie season last year. You got Malik Neighbors still there as well. Like, this can be a very good offense, but it starts and ends with the quarterback, and that's what scares me off from the Giants. I have them D tier. I think this can be a learning year for quarterback, but maybe next year, assuming Dart shows something this year, next year I'll pick them to be better. I will say, though, for all the Giants fans out there that probably hate me, if you put them C tier, I think that's also pretty valid as well. I don't think they have, like, the worst odds to be somewhat mediocre this year, but if I had to put someone in D tier and have like a bottom five-ish, I would probably still have the Giants in there. Next is the Patriots. They're going to go C tier. This is a team that was terrible last year. Drake May, he didn't get a full season. It was a very weird year. I think he had 3 or 4 total wins, and one of which was against the Bengals in Cincinnati week 1. So that always is just kind of funny to me. But yeah, Drake May year 2. He had no weapons last year. So what do? You get Stephon Diggs. I love the move. Yeah, Diggs isn't young, but Drake May needs just some sort of reliable veteran presence because last year he had Hunter Henry, and that was pretty much it. This year he still has Hunter Henry, but now you add Diggs to the mix. You draft Travion Henderson, which I'm really, really excited about for the Patriots. His first NFL touch, by the way, in that preseason game was a kick return for touchdown. So really, really cool. But yeah, so I'm excited for the Patriots. Defensively, you have Christian Gonzalez. I'm excited to see him back. I think this can be a very good Patriots team, but at the end of the day, you are in a division with the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets. I think the Jets and Dolphins are all on a similar level to the Patriots, but the Bills have a huge, huge head start, if you will, in terms of where these teams are at in their respective rebuilds. The Bills are fighting for a Super Bowl. The Patriots are just trying to find their franchise guy. So it's going to be tough for the Patriots to make a lot of noise, especially entering the playoffs. I mean, the AFC is stacked. It's going to be very tough for anyone to make the playoffs. I wouldn't exactly pick the Patriots to do that. However, I do see a very good season from Drake May. So I had them C tier. I think they'll be fun to watch. They'll have some good games, but not ultimately make the playoffs. And then for Dallas, I have them going B tier, and the Cowboys are such an annoying team because they should always be better than what they are. Even if they have like a dominant, regular season, then they just face plant in the playoffs. Like, Dak to CD is an amazing duo, but at a certain point, it's only getting you so far, and Jerry Jones just seems so against making those moves to try and do literally anything, bring in fresh faces. It's just not happening. Obviously, the big thing right now is Micah Parsons is not signed, and he asked for a trade. That's in a huge standstill. Look, I assume he will be re-signed because I can't think of a world where you would possibly justify letting someone like Micah Parsons go. So I'm going to predict this as if Micah Parsons is on the team because I literally cannot think of a reason why you would not re-sign him by any means necessary. But then again, that's predicting Jerry Jones, and that's impossible to do at this point because I'm not sure if Jerry even knows what he's doing at this point. So Micah Parsons aside, I'm assuming he's there. If not, I have nothing to say. It's just mind-blowingly stupid if that actually happens. Offensively, though, you do have Javonte Williams. You still have CeeDee Lamb. You got Dak. You have Jake Ferguson still as well. I think the Cowboys are a fun team, but again, they're just going to fall right in that kind of middle of the road for me. I think they'll be solid. They'll have some great games. They can make a run at the division against the Eagles and the Commanders, but ultimately, I don't think they're going to have a great year. I see right around 500 for the Cowboys, and they're going to go B tier. Next is the Colts. Colts are going D tier. This is a quarterback battle between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. So, Colts fans, I'm very, very sorry. Let me be clear, though. I really hyped up Anthony Richardson coming out of college because, the same reason anyone that believed in him did, and it was the physical traits were just off the charts. It was to have a quarterback with that kind of arm, that kind of raw athleticism, that kind of size, that kind of speed. It was always just if he could put it together. It was never, he has all this, now he doesn't know. It was all, if it all comes together, then he could be really good. And unfortunately, not only has he been very inconsistent, he's also been injured a lot, which also does not help if you can't get consistent reps on the field when you're somewhat healthy. So, and then even just in the preseason game, he dislocates his pinky. It's like pointing the opposite direction. He has like another thumb, basically. I mean, it's very unfortunate for him. I'm not going to write him off just yet because at the end of the day, I don't trust Daniel Jones either. So even if Jones is the starting quarterback week 1, I would be like mind blown if we didn't see Anthony Richardson at some point later in the season. I mean, I expect this QB battle to kind of continue throughout the year. I don't see how either one of them could have a far enough lead on the other to where they're just, oh yeah, Daniel Jones is going to start, the entire season. I don't see it. One of them's going to struggle at some point, and the other's going to be put in. However, though, I will say, if either of these guys can get themselves together, you have a very good offense around you, and that's what's so annoying to me about the Colts' struggles. Is you have Jonathan Taylor, you still have Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell from last year, Alec Pierce. You just drafted Tyler Warren from Penn State, a really, really good tight end. It's literally just all there for you. It just relies on the quarterback, and that's why they're D tier, because the quarterback is the most important position on the field. If you do not have consistency there, if you don't have someone playing at a high enough level or even an average level enough to kind of have the rest of the team on a somewhat solid competitive level, you're not going to compete. And I don't see that for Richardson or Daniel Jones. They haven't been able to, apart from 2022, Daniel Jones really has not been able to find consistent success on the football field. Anthony Richardson has not been able to even find consistent reps on the football field because he's been injured so much. So it sucks for Colts fans. I'm hoping one of those guys just puts it together. But for me, it comes down to quarterback and quarterback only, and that is why the Colts are D tier for me. I think it's going to be a sketchy year. Next is the Packers. They're going to go B tier. I'm not going to lie, whenever I do this, I usually kind of map it out, write it down, kind of have the teams where I had them at first, and then I kind of move them around a little bit over the course of like a couple days or whatnot. And the Packers were A tier for me for a bit, and I moved them down and then back up, and ultimately I think they fit best in B tier. Because here's the thing, Jordan Love, I think, is a great quarterback. I think he does have some issues every now and then with his consistency. I saw at one point last year this tweet from like a Packers fan saying he has like, a devil and an angel on his shoulder, but he has like a Brett Favre and an Aaron Rodgers, like just kind of dictating what he does that play, whether it's throw interception or throw ridiculous sidearm touchdown. And I think it's actually a pretty good description, because sometimes when he has the ball and he throws it deep and the camera hasn't panned yet, you don't know whether that's like wide open or triple coverage. You have literally no idea. With that said, I think he's a great quarterback. He just has to get that under control. And then the other issue is the Packers wide receiver room is so strange to me. Like, you have guys like Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, which that was kind of like the room last year. And it's a fairly solid room, but a lot of those guys have drop issues or even just health issues where it looks great on paper, but it doesn't really produce a true wide receiver number 1 for you. I would say last year Jaden Reed kind of stepped up to be like that wide receiver 1, but even then it was like it felt like the room was constantly changing, of like guys having great 3-week stretches and then kind of struggling or falling off. Not really falling off, but hopefully you get what I mean. It was just very weird. So Packers obviously knew that, and they looked to address it, find a more consistent wide receiver number 1. You draft Matthew Golden from Texas. I think, honestly, he is your wide receiver 1 come week 1 as a rookie. I think him and Jaden Reed are that 1 and 2, and then 3 is either Dobbs, Watson. I mean, I honestly have no idea. You still have Tucker Kraft in there as well. He's a pretty good tight end. Defensively, you still have guys like Xavier McKinney. You still have Rashawn Gary there as well. I know you drafted, I think it was Van Ness last year, and Edgerrin Cooper. So those guys, year 2. Again, the Packers, a lot of the focus for me is on quarterback with Jordan Love. He actually just had a surgery on his thumb as well, and I think he's good to go for week 1, it looks like. But still, something to monitor. They are a middle-of-the-road team for me, and also, to be fair, they're in a very tough division with the Bears, Vikings, and Lions. So At the end of the day, I think the Packers are a great team. It's not going to be easy for them to find a lot of success this year. I think they are built to find that. However, you got to get your wide receiver room under control, get rid of the drop issues. Someone's got to step up, be that true wide receiver number one. I assume that's Golden, maybe Jaden Reed. I don't really know, but yeah, they're B tier for me. Next is Washington. I'm gonna have them A tier. I had them S tier, but I don't want to jump the gun too much because I did this with the Texans and CJ Stroud, and I'm gonna learn my lesson because after the Texans, after Stroud's rookie year with the Texans, I had them like, I don't think I had them S tier, but I was like super high in the Texans. They had added Stephon Diggs going into last year. They had Nico Collins still, Tank Dell, and Stroud was looking amazing after 1 year. I jumped the gun a little too much. I had ranked a little too high. I'm not making that mistake with Washington. Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, he can solidify himself as a top quarterback in the NFL this year. His rookie season was truly unbelievable. It's really strange to me, the whole Terry McLaurin issue. Like, out of all the years to not immediately throw that guy money, like, why now? Like, you're just now finding a lot of success. I don't know. I don't get that. I would assume he's re-signed, though. I would be shocked if he's traded away. Other than him, you did get Deebo Samuel, who I don't know what he is at this stage of his career. Maybe he can be a big factor. Maybe he's really washed. I don't know. I'm not going to focus on him too much because, honestly, I don't believe in him that much, and I don't think Washington really needs to. I think they were just fine last year. I think you can replicate a lot of that without needing Deebo Samuel to be, this huge factor. Obviously, you want that, but I don't think they signed him thinking this is like 2020 Deebo Samuel or something. So defensively, I like Washington's defense a lot as well. My favorite guy who I talked about last year is Frankie Louvu from Carolina. I wanted the Panthers to re-sign him really, really bad. I'm a Panthers fan, if you guys couldn't tell. They didn't. He went to go play in the Dan Quinn offense because he saw more opportunity there. Clearly, that was the right move. He had a great season there, and Washington overall surprised a lot of people. And I don't think that would have happened without Jaden Daniels having that superstar season he did, without Dan Quinn coming in there and really helping change that culture. So I'm excited to see it in year 2. I'm not going to throw this into S tier. Super Bowl contenders. Is it possible? Absolutely, but I learned my lesson. I'm ranking them A tier. Moving over to the Steelers, I'm going to put them B tier. I'm not in love with the Rodgers signing. I think you could have done worse, absolutely, but this is Rodgers like last year. You add DK Metcalf, you get rid of Pickens, you try and change it up a little bit. And I made a video, I want to say a month ago, talking about the Steelers, and they made a lot of changes that they wouldn't normally do. I try to give them a lot of credit there because they are always just fine or content with, we have our guys, we have Mike Tomlin, we're going to go out there, hit 500, lose by 20 in the first round, and that's our season. Like, they're just so stuck in the middle of the road. And this season, it looks like they've really tried to do away with that. They went and they tried to make those big splash plays by bringing in guys like DK Metcalf. You let Najee Harris go to LA. I like the Steelers offense. They've taken more chances. You have Jalen Warren is now up to like a 1 or a 2. You have Caleb Johnson, the rookie running back who you drafted. So I believe in the Steelers. You're in an incredibly tough division. And your defense, obviously, is always one of the best in the league. It seems like TJ Watt's still there, of course, who got a lot of money. Joey Porter Jr. It's just, for me, and I've said this about a few teams now, like the Colts and the Giants, and even really the Packers. Same goes for the Steelers. I'm looking at quarterback, and that's been a huge issue since Ben Roethlisberger even retired. You haven't found that next guy. Rodgers isn't that next guy because he's here for the next 10 months. Can you win with him though? Absolutely. It's just, are we going to get a healthier version of Aaron Rodgers, or is this just still kind of the Jets on his last leg Aaron Rodgers? That's where my mind's at, and that's why I think this is going to be another season of the Steelers defense keeping them in some games they probably shouldn't be in. I think it's going to be better offensively than what they've had, but I'm still not thinking they're going to be this division winner, make a huge splash in the playoffs. I think they're making moves to eventually get to that point, and I do respect that. But this year, I still have them going B tier. And now my favorite team, the Panthers. I'm very excited for this year. I'm going to be honest. Whenever I do these rankings, if you guys are new to the channel, I always try and be as unbiased as possible. Like, obviously, there are teams I don't like. Like, I always am honest about that. I don't like the Falcons. I'm a Panthers fan. I hate the Falcons. I don't like the Saints. But I always try and rank them very fairly. And so for the Panthers, I have them going B tier. I think it's a step up from last year. I think the Panthers last year were like D tier to C tier. But Bryce Young had a phenomenal end to 2024, and I was really, really happy about that because obviously, horrible rookie season, looked terrible to start last year. He gets benched, comes back and has a bit more confidence, a bit more fluidity to his game, and then he just really built off that. I mean, the Panthers, they were really close to beating the Chiefs and the Eagles, and that was solely because of Bryce Young that kept him in those games. His decision making has improved drastically. His improvising is incredible. It's really on that level of like Alabama Bryce Young again. So I'm excited for him. I'm not gonna jump again. I'm not gonna jump really far here and say it's gonna be a playoff year for them, but I think they're gonna be competitive, and I'm really happy about that. I think Bryce Young can be that guy. It just takes some time, and it's just another lesson to a lot of football fans out there that if that rookie quarterback is not, lighting it up in year one, just give them time. It doesn't mean they're a bust automatically. I mean, Bryce Young, maybe he goes back to being terrible. I don't really know, but he's shown that he can make that progress. It just takes time, takes that patience. Carolina went out and drafted Tetairoa McMillan with the 8th overall pick, I believe. And I was super excited about that. He looked pretty solid in preseason, very good in camp. So yeah, I think this is a Panthers offense that's going to be pretty good. I mean, you got Bryce Young, you got McMillan, you have Adam Thielen still, very solid. Xavier Legette struggled last year. We'll see him in year 2, but Jalen Coker, he's undrafted at Holy Cross. He was great last year. And then again at running back, you still have Chuba Hubbard, who's one of the better underrated running backs in the NFL, in my opinion. Enrico Dowdle as well. I'm excited. I think the biggest thing is defense. Defense was an all-time low, like across NFL history type all-time low last year for Carolina. So if that is improved, I see them being B tier, probably winning about 7 games and then missing the playoffs in my eyes. But again, I'd love if it was better, but I would see probably around 7, 8 wins, be solid, have an improvement, but nothing spectacular as well. Next is the Eagles. They're going to go S tier. The Eagles have one, if not the best rosters in the entire NFL. Not much else to say about that, to be honest. I mean, Super Bowl champions, Jalen Hurts still there, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. I mean, defensively, still got Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, like Jalen Carter. This is a phenomenal Eagles team. They can absolutely repeat. It's going to be tough, again, but they are S tier in my opinion. And joining them in S tier are the Bills. I think the Bills are going to be really good. MVP Josh Allen last year. They are probably the biggest threat to the Chiefs, in my opinion. And again, it starts and ends with Josh Allen. I mean, he does literally everything with his legs, with his arm. It's a fun offense. You got Keon Coleman going into year 2. That's really where my mind's at for that offense. I want to see him have a much bigger impact than last year. You still got Khalil Shakir, James Cook. They did just re-sign, so that whole mini saga is over. Everything should be good to go there. Defensively, the Bills, I think, are a bit sketchier in my opinion, but at the end of the day, it's just one of the better teams in the entire AFC in my opinion. So I had the Bills S tier. They are absolutely a Super Bowl contender, but they have to get over that roadblock that is the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. We will see if they can do that. Next is the Lions, who are also going to go S tier. The Lions are phenomenal. Now, here's the thing, though. I almost actually had the Lions in A tier instead of S tier because you did lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. You lost your offensive and defensive coordinator. And, I mean, not only is that big for anybody, but especially losing someone of Ben Johnson's caliber, it's going to be felt. I think the same with losing Aaron Glenn for defensive coordinator. It's going to be noticeable. But I do think the Lions are too talented to just all of a sudden fall off because of their offensive coordinator leaving or their defensive coordinator leaving. I think they are very, very good. The biggest thing for me is you have Aiden Hutchinson back and healthy. Horrible injury last year, but he was expecting a full recovery. I'm excited to see him back on the field. He is one of the best at his position when healthy. You got Jared Goff still there, of course. Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. Phenomenal offense. And then defensively, of course, you tried to address some of the struggles you'd had in previous years last year. And I think it was better. The Lions defense, I think, was a lot better last year. And that's why I think I almost kind of moved them down because I'm like, well, with Aaron Glenn gone, is it not going to be the case now? Or how's that going to go? So, again, I still think they're going to be really, really good. Still S tier. I hope the Lions can get a Super Bowl win. It'd be really, really cool to see. But, yeah, Lions are S tier. Next is the Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to go B tier. I go back and forth on them, to be honest. I don't necessarily believe in Sam Darnold. I think a lot of the things that he was able to do in Minnesota last year was because of that offensive line helping him stay out of pressure a lot. However, that is not the case in Seattle with that offensive line. And Sam Darnold under pressure is a lot different than Sam Darnold not under pressure. He does not operate very well under pressure. So that scares me a bit for that offense. You still have Jackson Smith and Jigba now. I'm excited for him, though. This is his wide receiver room. He is the guy. Wide receiver one. I am super excited to see his impact. One thing, too, they drafted Jalen Milroe, out of Alabama. And I feel like they're going to have him in some packages like third and short because he is fast. He has great size. So I wouldn't be surprised if Milroe is used almost like a Justin Fields last year for Pittsburgh, where he wasn't really a starter anymore, but third and shorts, they had him on the field, they had runs for him. I see the Seahawks doing a similar thing with Jalen Milroe. So it should be a really fun offense, in my opinion. Kenneth Walker's still there, too. Zach Charbonnet. I'm excited for that. Next is the Saints, and the Saints are going to go D tier. As I said, I don't like this team because I'm a Panthers fan, but truly, I don't see how you wouldn't have the Saints D tier. First off, everyone on their roster is fairly old, and you don't have a lot of money to address it. Tyrann Mathieu is now retired as well. I think Cam Jordan is still there, but he has not been very good the past couple of years. I got Brian Bresee still there on that defensive line, but it is rough, man. It is really, 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 really rough. I think Paulson Adebo, I think he's gone as well. So overall for me, as I said for a few teams, it comes down to quarterback, yeah, but the Saints just don't have enough. I think, to put it plainly, there's just not enough talent on this roster. And then when you do go to quarterback, Tyler Shuck versus Spencer Rattler is not exactly the quarterback battle you want to find yourself in. Not trying to hate on the rookie. Tyler could very well be a very solid quarterback, but he is not set up for success. Alvin Kamara is amazing. He's only getting older. Chris Olave, I have talked very highly of him in the past. I am a huge Chris Olave believer, but the head injuries are really scary, and they're really catching up to him. So I hope he can stay healthy, but at the end of the day, I don't believe in this team at all. I don't even if I did believe in the quarterback, there's very few guys for the quarterback to even believe in. So I don't see it. It's going to be a rough year, I think, for the Saints. You still have a lot of other things to address. I have them going D tier. Next is the Cardinals. I have them going C tier. Not a great season, but I do think that there is still talent, especially on this offense. I know last year their defense, it was, I think, better than expected, but it still wasn't great. And you have Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. now going to year 2, Trey McBride, of course, James Conner. The Cardinals are always on the brink of being exciting or decent, in my opinion, and they just don't usually cross that line. There was that one year, I think it was 2021 or 2022, where they were 9-0, or maybe it was even 11-0. They were really, really good, and then they lost one game, and they just collapsed the second half of that season. They haven't really found their footing since then. I love Kyler Murray, but he's got to have a statement year, if he does not want conversations to be had about him. And, that's what it comes down to for me, is the Cardinals overall, just not enough there for me to believe in. I love pieces of their offense. I don't love much of their defense. I don't think it's going to be a great year for the Cardinals. They're going to go C tier. Next is the Rams. Okay, so the Rams are going A tier. Here's the thing. So I talked about this in another video I did probably 2 months ago now. But I was blown away that the Rams added Devontae Adams, and people weren't talking about it very much, despite Adams' age. Yeah, but Matthew Stafford having Puka and Adams to work with on that offense, and he's just re-signed Kyron Williams. I think the offense is going to be fantastic. I think the defense is going to be fantastic as well. Jared Verse was unbelievable last year as a rookie. Truly unbelievable. Him and Braden Fisk, or Fiske, I think, or Frisky. Why can't I remember his name now? 2 teammates from Florida State, Jared Verse and Braden, were both phenomenal last year for rookies. So I'm really excited to see this Rams team. However, now you have Matthew Stafford having some sort of back injury, and they say, oh, it's not a big deal. He's going to practice Monday. He aggravated a disc, but then he didn't practice Monday, and he didn't practice Tuesday. So in my mind, I'm like, is this a Joe Burrow calf thing where, oh, he's fine, and then all of a sudden, okay, he's not fine? Are they downplaying it that much? It scares me a little bit because if Matthew Stafford is out of this equation, my hope in the Rams drops a whole bunch. So I have them A tier, but let it be known that is assuming Matthew Stafford is playing and healthy. If not, I don't know. That's going to scare me a little bit. I have the Rams A tier, though, and I really, really hope that Matthew Stafford is okay. Next is the Jaguars. I have them C tier. I wanted to put them B tier so bad. And before any Jags fans get mad at me, I was so high on them back in, like, I think going into 2023. I was like, this is it. Trevor Lawrence has arrived. I look stupid. No, seriously, they never made that next step. And they've had some injury issues. I get it. But they still scare me. And a lot of it depends on Trevor Lawrence because this is a big year for him. He's making a whole lot of money and not doing a whole lot. So that's not a good combination. You never want that to be how you're described. But seriously, some injuries piling up on him. I get it. For me, it really depends a lot on Trevor Lawrence. You had Travis Hunter, though, and I want to talk about that before I get into Trevor Lawrence. I think this was a phenomenal move because if the Browns were willing to move away from that, I don't see why you don't go in there and you grab Travis Hunter. I'm a big believer in him. I know some people are like, oh, he can't play both sides of the field, and I agree with that. I don't think he can play every down of every game. It doesn't make any sense or even close to that, really. However, I think if the coaches manage this correctly and they truly do prioritize his health, you can absolutely have packages on defense where Travis Hunter is able to, in my opinion, play cornerback at a very high level, and you can utilize that. I think the danger is when you're like, okay, we're struggling on offense. Well, we're also struggling on defense. We'll just play him even more, and you're gonna wear him down. He's gonna get hurt. That's where things get sketchy. I think if they can really monitor his health and focus on what's best for him and the team, that is where you can really capitalize on just how good Travis Hunter can be. Instantly, adding him to that offense with Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be fantastic, in my opinion. I'm so excited to see Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., and Travis Hunter. I'm so excited for that. Defensively, if you can play your cards right and you have him in certain packages or certain downs, I think Travis Hunter can be a great cornerback in the NFL as well. I think he is that talented. I do think he is a generational prospect. To me, it's all about how you approach it and the execution, because it's going to get real rough if you do try and have this every other down thing, because if he's injured, he can't help you on offense or defense, and that's not helping anybody. So you got to play it right. I do believe in the coaches there, though, in Jacksonville. I was a big fan of the Cohen signing there for head coach. But again, some things to look at. They're still going to be C tier for me. I don't believe a whole lot in that defense, and even Trevor Lawrence scares me away a little bit as well. I think they'll be competitive and they'll have some great games, but I think if things go right this year, they're like a year away from being that next competitive, make a run at the division kind of thing. This year, I still have them getting around probably six wins about. Next is the Vikings. I had the Vikings A tier. This is a team that I am really focusing on this year because of J.J. McCarthy. It was a big talking point last year. It was something that I focused on a lot last year too. And I do think the Vikings are going to be very, very good. You're in an offense where this is a very good offensive line. You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, apart from the first 3 games of the season, T.J. Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor. You have a lot of talent in this roster, and you still have Aaron Jones and you add Jordan Mason. This is a really, really good offense. And the floor, like worst case scenario, I think is still a pretty good offense. It just depends on how high McCarthy can take them. I'm a believer in J.J. McCarthy. I do think he's going to be quite good, and that's why I had the Vikings in A tier. So I do think they're going to compete for that division title. It's going to be very, very tough. I mean, NFC North, AFC North, some of the toughest divisions in all of football, but I think the Vikings are going to be very, very good. I want to see Dallas Turner in year 2. That should be very interesting. But overall, I do think the Vikings are going to be a very tough team to beat, especially at home. I had them going A tier. Next is the Buccaneers. I have them going A tier as well. This offense is going to be so good. And here's the thing. I'm, again, Panthers fan, division rival. I think the Buccaneers are going to be so good. You got Baker Mayfield. I love Baker. You have Bucky Irving and Rachaad White as that running back duo. Bucky Irving, I think, can just really do it all. I love what I've seen from him. But you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin coming back from injury. You have Jalen McMillan. You add Emeka Egbuka as well. I mean, this is an offense that, you have so much depth, so much talent all over the field. I mean, Baker was just the what? Was it touchdown leader last year? Yards leader? I mean, he had a phenomenal season, and he adds more talent now. You give him even more talent. I'm super, super excited. I just saw as well, I believe that Antoine Winfield's on pace to start for week 1 as well. So I'm excited for the Buccaneers, despite them being a division rival. I think they're going to be a very, very good team. I have them being A tier. And I think they're going to be a playoff team again. They're tough to beat, and I'm really happy for Baker the way his NFL career started. He's finally found a place that, respects him. Next up is the Dolphins. They're going to go C tier. I'm not really a big believer in the Dolphins. I don't see McDaniel being in there too long either, or too much longer. Tua, I think, is too inconsistent for me to really believe in them much. Tyreek Hill obviously is phenomenal. So is Jalen Waddle. I mean, they have a really fast offense. Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, they have a lot of playmakers. But I think their time where they were, really competitive, I think it's kind of slowing down, and I don't see a whole lot from them this year. So, would not be surprised if their head coach is fired within the first 8 weeks. I'd say by week 8, I could see him on the hot seat. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big believer in the Dolphins this year. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans. I have them going C tier. Next to the Chargers, I have them going A tier. I think the Chargers are going to be very, very good. They had a great season last year. They really, really impressed me. I didn't see them. I kind of had them like C tier to B tier last year. And they were great. Herbert had a phenomenal season apart from that playoff game. Lyle McConkey impressed a whole lot in year 1. You got Keenan Allen back on the team now. So, he's older, but, for what it's worth, you got a nice veteran wide receiver presence there. You drafted Trey Harris, so I'm excited to see him. I got the Chargers A tier. Next is the 49ers. They're going to go B tier for me. Something about them just scares me off right now. So you got Brock Purdy, of course, who I do believe in. Brock's a great quarterback. Brandon Ayuk is working his way back from that torn ACL. I think he's supposed to be back by week 6, which, great. Other than that, Debo's gone, which is fine. For me, I'm really just the biggest believer in Ricky Pearsall at the moment. I think he can be a wide receiver 1 on this team, to be honest with you. Christian McCaffrey, of course, is still there. He's had his injuries, the past few years, apart from, I think, 2023 or 2024. I think 2023 is when he had a phenomenal year and stayed healthy. But, it's a little rough. You still have George Kittle. Defensively, though, Fred Warner, probably the best linebacker in the entire NFL. They're not going to be a bad team by any means, but I don't think this is a Super Bowl contending 49ers team anymore. I'm sorry. I think that time's kind of passed. So I have them B tier. They can absolutely be an A tier team, but I really wouldn't put them S tier, to be honest. I think there's just a little too much missing at the moment. So I had them B tier. Next is the Raiders. So the Raiders, I have them B tier. I made a video 3 or 4 months ago talking about the Raiders GM because you could tell there was a serious shift in the way they approached this offseason. And I think it started and ended with the GM. And maybe people can say, oh, it's also Brady's influence as well. I don't care what it is, but the Raiders took a much different approach than what they normally did, which was nothing and staying terrible. I'm joking, but seriously, it was not good. This offseason, though, you go ahead and you just trade for Geno Smith, kind of out of thin air. I don't think a lot of people really expected that. So you bring in Geno, you pick Genty, so you got Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, you have Jacoby Myers, who's still a pretty good wide receiver. I feel like he's not talked about very much, but he's very solid. You still have him. You have Trey Tucker. You have Brock Bowers, who is pretty much the best tight end in the NFL at this point after 1 year. I mean, he's phenomenal. He was pretty close to a generational prospect anyways, and he looked like it in year 1. Now you add Geno to the mix. You add Ashton Genty to the mix. I mean, this is a really, really exciting Raiders team. Defensively, still have Max Crosby as well. He'll be back and healthy. I mean, I'm excited for this. I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs, but the AFC West, this went from a couple of years ago, Chiefs way up here, and everybody else trying to catch up to the Broncos are going to be pretty good. The Raiders, I think, be pretty good. The Chargers are going to be pretty good. The AFC West is a division to watch this year. It might be a race for first place in the AFC, or in the AFC West. So, yeah, I think the Raiders are very underrated this season, and I had them B tier. That's one of my sleeper-ish teams this year, but I feel like it's not too crazy to say that. But still, Raiders are B tier for me. Next is the Falcons. I had the Falcons A tier at one point, but whenever I thought Falcons, Buccaneers, the Buccaneers were still a level ahead of them. And I see the Falcons closer to the Panthers going into this season than I see the Panthers or the Falcons compared to the Buccaneers. Does that make sense? I see the Panthers and Falcons closer to each other than I see either of them to the Buccaneers. So that's why they're B tier and the Buccaneers are A tier. I do think the Falcons are going to be better than the Panthers, but I mean, if you want to break up the B tier, I guess you could say I have the Falcons above the Panthers in the same category. So there's that. But no, seriously. So as far as the Falcons go, you got Michael Penix, who I really wanted to see a lot of last year. Didn't get to see a lot of him, but he looked pretty solid when he did play. So I'm excited to see a full year of him. You have Bijan Robinson, who is capable of being the best running back in the NFL. I mean, he's absolutely top 3, top 5, whatever you want to say, but he's one of the best in the NFL. Kyle Pitts, who knows what he'll do. I mean, the talent's there, but who knows? But Drake London, though, he had a great season last year. You got Darnell Mooney still. This can be a really good Falcons offense, assuming Penix is able to run this offense efficiently. Defense is where the Falcons have been lacking a lot, especially in the defensive line. And they addressed that a lot in the draft with, like, Jalen Walker. So, to me, it's like, okay, I think it was Jalen Walker and James Pierce, if I'm not mistaken. So, to me, it's like, okay, the Falcons have had a fairly solid secondary, especially ever since they added Jesse Bates. A lot of it's been finding that footing on defense. Well, they really addressed that this offseason. So, it worries me as a Panthers fan, but I think the NFC South is going to be much more competitive. It's going to be a 3-team race for first place. However, I do still see the Buccaneers better than both the Panthers and the Falcons. But anything can happen, and I see it being very competitive. Falcons are a good team. I'm not going to put them A tier. I just, when I look at the other teams in there, I don't quite see the Falcons on that level, but I do have them B tier. Next is the Browns. I'm going to put the Browns in D tier. There's just too many question marks. I mean, first off, you have that quarterback room. Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders. You have the 2 rookie running backs. You have Sampson and Judkins, and then Judkins goes and gets in legal trouble. So now you kind of have Judkins. At wide receiver, you essentially have Jerry Jeudy, and that's really about it. You have Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. David Njoku, but I mean, that's just not that great. It's not that great for any quarterback. Then throw in the mix, it's going to be either a rookie, Joe Flacco, or Kenny Pickett starting. I mean, I can't get behind that at all. Defensively, of course, you still have a ton of playmakers. You have Myles Garrett, you have Denzel Ward, you got Martin Emerson back there still at cornerback, and Greg Newsome. Like, you have solid players on defense, but the offense is just lacking so much. And for what it's worth, Sanders, he looked pretty good in preseason. I mean, in my opinion, he absolutely has the highest ceiling out of any quarterback in that room. I think he's a very low floor, but so does every quarterback in that room. So why not start in week 1 at this point? I mean, you have nothing to lose. I don't know. The Browns have a lot to figure out, and they don't have a lot of talent to work with. So they are D tier for me. Next is going to be the Texans. They're going to go A tier. I think the Texans are still a really good team. The injury to Tank Dell is brutal. He's out for the entirety of this year. It's really, really sad. And you lose Stephon Diggs as well in free agency. But at the end of the day, Nico Collins and Stroud, I mean, that's one of the best quarterback to wide receiver duos in the entire NFL. Really, really excited to see that. Only worrisome thing is Joe Mixon has some kind of foot injury, which might sideline him the first however long, into the actual regular season. And other than that, you have, I think Dameon Pierce and Nick Chubb. So that worries me for that running back room. Defensively, though, you still got, Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. I like a lot of the Texans team. So they're still A tier for me, but the Mixon injury could be really, really rough for them. You drafted Jaden Higgins for wide receiver, I think, to try and help that depth there after losing Tank Dell. You still have John Mechie too. I'd love to see Mechie doing something. But yeah, Texans are a great team. They're going to be A tier for me. I would say they're probably like on the lower end of A tier, but I think they are still an A tier team. Next is the Jets, and the Jets are going to go C tier. I don't really believe in Justin Fields, unfortunately. I think he's a really fun player to watch, but I don't trust his ability to consistently read the defense. I think he holds on to the ball for too long sometimes as well. Not to say there wasn't growth in Pittsburgh. There absolutely was growth in Pittsburgh. If you compare his Steelers starts to his starts in Chicago, there's a clear difference. Absolutely. So maybe he continues to build on that. I mean, this is Aaron Glenn's guy. He goes to New York. He's the head coach. They go out and they get Fields. Maybe he's really good. I just don't see it. And there's nothing that I've seen in Justin Fields' NFL career, in my opinion, to say I trust him getting 9 wins starting an entire season. I don't see that. I think 9 wins would be their ceiling with him at quarterback. So they're going to be C tier for me. They still have a lot of other things to offer. Garrett Wilson is phenomenal. Breece Hall back there. Braylon Allen there at running back too. Defensively, just signed Sauce Gardner for all that money. I mean, you have a very solid D line as well. But at the end of the day, again, as we talked about for a few of these teams, the quarterback, you have to have that pin down. You have to have consistency there, success there. I don't think the Jets have that. But again, I'm judging that off of Fields' past starts. Maybe he puts it together this year. I don't know. But personally, I don't really think he does, unfortunately. I like Fields, but I don't see it. I have the Jets going C tier. Next is the Ravens. Ravens are going S tier. Lamar Jackson had a phenomenal season last year, like 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I've said for the past couple of years, I feel like Lamar is the best quarterback in the NFL, which I know is not the most popular opinion. But truthfully, I believe it is him. The big four. It's him, Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. But I think Lamar is 1 or 2. Truthfully, I think he is absolutely phenomenal, and he never gets the respect he deserves. I feel like from a lot of fans, unfortunately. But he does a lot of things right. Got to see more success in the playoffs, though. Hopefully this could be his year. Got Derrick Henry still there as well. Amazing season from him. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers. Isaiah likely did, I think, fracture like his toe or something. So he's out for a little while, but I think he'll be good to go, I think, by the first couple weeks. So that's good to see as well. Defensively, this is a crazy Ravens secondary. You got Kyle Hamilton. You got Jair Alexander. Nate Wiggins now in year 2. I mean, this is a really, really good Ravens secondary. I'm really excited for that. The Ravens defense overall is just so good, and the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. I have them S tier. Next is the Bengals. I have them going A tier. I'd love to have them S tier, but their defense holds them back so much. Their defense was getting pieced up by the Eagles' second string in preseason, so hopefully it's better this year. But if not, Joe Burrow has to have another MVP caliber season on his hands to keep them competitive. Burrow to Chase is probably one of, if not the best connection in the entire NFL. I'm excited to see that again this year. It's some of the most entertaining football in the league, in my opinion. Defensively, you got to hope Al Golden, the new defensive coordinator, can put things together, or else it's going to be another very long season for Cincinnati, unfortunately. And I had the Bengals being A tier. Next is the Chiefs. I do the Chiefs S tier still. They had a great season last year, lost in the Super Bowl. This year, I'm sure Rashee Rice will be suspended for however long. Not really sure what that's going to look like yet, but you still got guys in that field. You still got Xavier Worthy. You still got Isaiah Pacheco back there. I'm really not that worried about it, to be honest. I think Mahomes is going to have a little attitude like he has something to prove this year. I think people have written him off a little bit, which, I haven't, but I understand his mindset like that. Defensively, Chris Jones, one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL. Trent McDuffie's still back there as well. George Karlaftis still in that D-line as well. So, Chiefs are a phenomenal team. Not much to say about them. That's S tier. Next is the Titans. I had the Titans going D tier. Unfortunately, I'm a big believer in Cam Ward, but there's just not enough talent in the team. Him and Ridley could be an awesome connection, but other than that, someone's got to step up. This can't be a Tyler Lockett kind of thing. This needs to be like Io Manor stepping up at wide receiver or anything like that. Tajay Spears has a high ankle sprain, so he's out for a little while. It's going to be a rough year for the Titans. I'm not going to lie, but I think put the record aside, put the defense aside, just focus on Cam Ward, because if this is your franchise guy, it is only up from here. It just takes some time. So, I'm a big believer in Cam Ward. I think he'll have some exciting games this year. He looked very, very solid in preseason. So, I'm excited to see him in week 1. but he is going to be D tier. Next is the Bears. I have the Bears going B tier as well. I wanted to put the Bears in A tier, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I'm a big believer in Caleb Williams, but they scare me still. They scare me at wide receiver because you have DJ Moore, and I love DJ Moore. I was so pissed when the Panthers traded him away, but he can be inconsistent at times. You don't know what DJ Moore you're getting. I think he's still very, very good, but it's just something about him. They've done a great job at, last year, Caleb Williams, he ran around for like 5 minutes every play. They did a good job of addressing that offensive line. You drafted Colston Loveland for tight end, and if anybody doesn't know who that is, you'll probably find out really soon because Ben Johnson, as your head coach, drafting a tight end where he did that's not for no reason. I'll tell you that. So I'm a believer in the Bears, but I am not a 11 wins winning the division believer in the Bears. I'm a 8, 9, 10 wins believer. Caleb Williams shows some improvement. I think he was overhated last year anyway. He really was not that bad. He was a bit inconsistent with accuracies from time to time, and but again, he was under pressure so much. It's like I give him a lot of kind of slack there. Which, to be fair, as well, because Bryce Young, his rookie year, everybody piled on, making jokes. Then his offensive line got better. Then he got some more confidence. Now he's playing better. It's like, why should we not extend that same attitude for Caleb Williams? Like, he's under the same exact scenario just about. So, but yeah, either way, Bears are B tier for me. This is the tier list: S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. What I get right, what I get wrong. Make sure to comment down below what you guys think. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you guys are new. Next video will be either ranking wide receivers or it will be a division predicting every team's record, whatever in each division. So yeah, thanks for watching. I do really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.